Why are speakers often so, um, just flamboyant or have personalities that are huge? Because that's what makes a good speaker,
Hmm.
right?
I'm going to let you in on a secret. I'm writing a book on body language and stage presence. I thought, geez, why not reach out to Hall of Fame speakers and ask them about body language and how they use it to command the stage? And then Hall of Fame speaker Alvin Law came to mind. Now, Alvin was born without arms, so he must know a few things about body language and public speaking. I got on the line with him. I had this interview with him. I'm going to be going into my book. But one thing that really amazed me about Alvin and just sitting and watching him speak is how expressive he is with his facial gestures, with how he moves his shoulders, with how he uses his feet as hands. We're going to watch him in fast forward, and I just want you to pay attention to how expressive he is. It's unbelievable. And when I asked Alvin about stage presence, this is what he had to say.
This is who I am. Why are you doing that? Because these are my hands. You think I'm being philosophical or inspiring? No, these are my hands.
100.
So when I would say to a group of kids, for example, way back when, stop looking at people for their differences and all the cliches. Name a cliche, I used them. But over time, what I found, I'm sure you can relate to this, the bulk of my audiences at a very early stage in my career were gymnasiums full of kids. Some of the schools were kindergarten to grade 12. How do you talk to a school from kindergarten to grade 12? Well, you use theater. You just use stagecraft. Why did I know stagecraft? Because believe it or not, that was one of the courses we took at Mount Royal College in 1978 to 80 in my broadcasting school, right at Mount Royal. We learned speechcraft. We learned how to do radio theater. We learned how to use our voices to act, but we also learned physical stagecraft.
Did you get that? You use theater, you use stagecraft. That's how you command the attention of the audience. And Alvin learned it in broadcasting school. And all the great speakers have great presence. They have great stagecraft. They're the speakers that I've learned from. I've watched their videos over and over and over and over, learning about their body language. But yet, there are so many speakers in between who just think they're an expert at what they do and they just have to share their knowledge, but they have no stagecraft. And it's not those speakers' fault. We've all learned from terrible speakers. We've learned from teachers who are boring, and we have to sit there for an hour and still go through it. You learn from professors who have terrible stage presence and they're just on the board writing. We learn that way. We start thinking, well, that's public speaking. That's how you do it. That's one way to do it. But like my grandma used to say, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Hey, she was from a different generation. That's probably offensive to some people now. But respect your elders, kids. Having a command of the stage, and that's what we're all learning about, and that's what we're talking about. Everybody who follows me, that is what we study, and that's what we perfect. Having that stage presence, having that charisma, having that energy in front of people. We heard it from Alvin.
And I realized what I was doing way back then was getting the icebreakers.
Yeah.
And so that the timing of learning broadcasting, the timing of learning humor, but I'm great question. I've never listened to speakers to be trained by them. Never. I've never listened to a speaker to train me. I've always listened to comedians. Robin Williams in particular. I found his timing and his improvisational skills to be the key.
I'm going to be chopping this information up into shorts for my social media channel because I think it's important for this information to get out there. And I'm also going to be going after some other Hall of Fame speakers. I want to interview you about body language because as a whole, we've lowered the bar of speaking over the last few years with the invention of Zoom, and everybody can now just be a talking head and share their PowerPoints. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm at events and I see people on their phone in the audience. That's an indication for you as a speaker to be saying, hey, I don't think I'm getting their attention as much as I used to be able to. And how do we get that back? Well, follow me.